Theravada Buddhism is often called the oldest surviving form of Buddhism. Many people believe it stays very close to the original teachings of the Buddha. The word Theravada means the teaching of the elders. It is practiced mainly in countries such as Sri Lanka, Thailand, Myanmar, Laos, and Cambodia. Millions of people follow this tradition and believe that it preserves the original path taught by Siddhartha Gautama more than 2,500 years ago. To understand Theravada Buddhism, it is important to understand who the Buddha was. Before becoming the Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama was a prince who lived a comfortable life. He had wealth, luxury, and protection from suffering. However, when he saw sickness, old age, and death, he realized that all people face suffering. He left his palace and spent years searching for the truth. After deep meditation and spiritual effort, he reached enlightenment and became known as a Buddha, which means the awakened one. The Buddha taught that suffering exists in life. This was not meant to be a pessimistic message. Instead, he wanted people to understand reality clearly. He explained that suffering comes from craving, attachment, and ignorance. People constantly desire things, want life to be different, and cling to things that cannot last forever. Because everything changes, attachment often leads to disappointment and pain. One of the most important teachings in Theravada Buddhism is the Four Noble Truths. The first truth is that suffering exists. The second truth is that suffering is a cause, which is craving and attachment. The third truth is that suffering can end. The fourth truth is that there is a path that leads to the end of suffering. This path is known as the Noble Eightfold Path. The Noble Eightfold Path is a practical guide for living wisely and peacefully. It includes right understanding, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. These teachings are not commandments. Instead, they are guidelines that help people develop wisdom, ethical behavior, and mental discipline. Theravada Buddhists believe that every person is responsible for their own spiritual progress. No god or supernatural being can grant enlightenment. Teachers and monks can guide people, but each person must walk the path themselves. This idea is central to Theravada Buddhism. Personal effort, self-discipline, and understanding are considered essential. Meditation plays a very important role in Theravada practice. Through meditation, people learn to observe their thoughts and feelings without becoming controlled by them. They develop mindfulness, which means being fully aware of the present moment. Instead of living in constant worry about the future or regret about the past, practitioners learn to pay attention to what is happening right now. There are different forms of meditation in Theravada Buddhism. One common practice is mindfulness meditation, where a person carefully observes breathing, bodily sensations, emotions, and thoughts. Another practice is loving-kindness meditation, where people develop feelings of goodwill and compassion toward themselves and others. These practices are believed to calm the mind and increase wisdom. Theravada Buddhism teaches that everything in existence is impermanent. Nothing remains exactly the same forever. People age, relationships change, possessions wear out, and even mountains slowly transform over time. Understanding impermanence helps reduce attachment because people realize that trying to hold on to changing things creates suffering. Another important teaching is the concept of non-self. According to Theravada Buddhism, there is no permanent and unchanging soul within a person. What we call a person is actually a combination of changing physical and mental processes. Thoughts, emotions, memories, and the body are constantly changing. By understanding this, people become less attached to ego and personal identity. Karma is also a major teaching in Theravada Buddhism. Karma refers to intentional actions and their consequences. Good actions tend to create positive results, while harmful actions tend to create negative results. Karma is not viewed as punishment or reward from a divine being. Instead, it is a natural law of cause and effect. Just as planting a seed produces a particular plant, actions produce corresponding. Many scholars believe that Theravada Buddhism preserves teachings that are very close to those spoken by the Buddha. Theravada relies heavily on the Pali Canon, a large collection of scriptures written in the ancient Pali language. This collection contains discourses, monastic rules, and philosophical teachings that followers consider highly important. The Pali Canon is often viewed as one of the oldest surviving collections of Buddhist teachings. Theravada practitioners study these texts carefully because they believe they contain valuable guidance for understanding reality and achieving liberation. Monks often spend years memorizing and analyzing these scriptures. Some people ask whether Theravada Buddhism is exactly what the Buddha taught. This is a complex question. Theravada followers generally believe that their tradition preserves the earliest teachings most accurately. Many historians agree that the Pali Canon contains very ancient material. However, scholars also recognize that teachings were transmitted orally for generations before being written down. As a result, it is difficult to know with complete certainty which words came directly from the historical Buddha. Even so, many of the central teachings found in Theravada Buddhism are widely accepted as very old and likely connected closely to the Buddha's original message. These include the Four Noble Truths, the Noble Eightfold Path, impermanence, karma, meditation, mindfulness, and the pursuit of nirvana. Theravada Buddhism emphasizes practical experience rather than blind belief. Followers are encouraged to test teachings through their own observation and practice. The Buddha is often quoted as advising people not to accept something simply because of tradition, authority, or scripture. Instead, they should investigate and understand for themselves. This focus on personal experience attracts many modern practitioners. People appreciate a path that encourages questioning, observation, and direct understanding. Rather than requiring faith in a creator God, Theravada Buddhism focuses on understanding the mind and reducing suffering through wisdom and ethical living. In recent decades, mindfulness practices inspired by Theravada traditions have become popular around the world. Many people use mindfulness techniques to manage stress, improve concentration, and increase emotional balance. While modern mindfulness programs may not always include the full religious context of Buddhism, they often draw inspiration from ancient Theravada meditation methods. Compassion is another important value in Theravada Buddhism. Although wisdom is highly emphasized, wisdom and compassion are seen as working together. A person who truly understands suffering naturally develops kindness toward others. Helping people, showing patience, and acting with empathy are considered important expressions of spiritual growth. Theravada Buddhism teaches that true happiness does not come from wealth, status, or possessions. These things can provide temporary pleasure, but they cannot provide lasting satisfaction because they are always changing. Lasting peace comes from understanding reality, letting go of attachment, and cultivating a calm and wise mind. For many followers, Theravada Buddhism is not merely a religion but a way of life. It influences how they speak, work, eat, interact with family, and respond to difficulties. Daily mindfulness, ethical behavior, and meditation become tools for personal transformation. The question, is this what the Buddha really taught, continues to inspire discussion among scholars, monks, and practitioners. While no one can travel back in time to hear every word spoken by the historical Buddha, Theravada Buddhism is widely regarded as one of the closest surviving connections to his earliest teachings. Its focus on suffering, mindfulness, ethical conduct, wisdom, and liberation reflects ideas that have been preserved for more than 2 millennia. Whether one approaches Theravada Buddhism as a believer, a student of history, or simply someone interested in personal growth, its teachings continue to offer a clear and practical path. At its heart is a simple but profound message. Suffering has causes, suffering can end, and each person has the ability to walk a path toward greater wisdom, peace, and freedom. Through mindfulness, ethical living, compassion, and understanding, Theravada Buddhism